boom, realest guys in the room. How you doing?
Perfect. Who better than Derek, Pat, Andrew, the wrestling crew? Man, they bout to put an end to y'all careers like a finishing move. They bout to give y'all facts on these cats that's fighting on these mats. Y'all can't see them like John Cena. Even if y'all had 20/20 vision, y'all better listen, pay attention, and take notes down, and realize that it's not your time now. And watch these three kings take the crown. Hey, hey.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Wrestling IQ 101. As always, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WrestlingIQ101.com. And we're here with Pat and Derek.
What's up, guys?
And we're joined with a very special guest from a former WWE Superstar, JTG. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's up? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. So, you're here. You wrote two books. Damn, why did I write this book? And damn, why did I write that book too? You got a bunch of good stories in there. So first, I just want to get into your one particular story that you talked about as far as CM Punk when the whole squash match with CM Punk. Can you give us a little insight on that?
How did you know it was CM Punk? How did you figure that out?
Oh man, that was just a guess.
So what was the question again?
Just talk about the story as far as him avoiding you. You know, just basically how the whole thing went down.
Oh, so I don't want to give too much away because I want people to enjoy the story.
Just tease it.
But yeah, but that day, I was very excited to work with CM Punk. He was one of the up-and-coming superstars at the time. He wasn't the CM Punk that we know today, but he was definitely one of the... he was a heel, but he was definitely on his way up to the top. And I was looking forward to working with him. I knew right off the back that when I heard that I'll be working with him, that I would definitely be putting him over, which I have no problem doing. But at the same time, I want to keep my character strong. Both, even though you're losing in this business, you can come out still looking good. A lot of guys that made a name for themselves doing that. Like guys like Dolph Ziggler. On his way to the top, before he became world champion, he was losing a lot, but the fans were getting behind him because he was the underdog. And it's how you lose. It's not, it's not just because you're losing. So I wanted to, with my match with CM Punk, I knew I had to lose to CM Punk and make him look strong because he was going into a title match with I can't remember the superstar, who the superstar was. I think it was Rey Mysterio. But he was avoiding me, and when we finally did talk, it just sounded like he just wanted to squash me and not give me any offense, which I was not having. And he told me that it was from the higher ups, and he said Vince McMahon. So I went directly straight to Vince McMahon to ask him, is this a squash match? Is that what I put Vince McMahon on the spot, at gorilla position. He's like, no, it's not a squash match. And they switched a few things around, and Punk had an attitude with me, and we went out there, and things didn't go as planned, and yeah.
That's funny. Now, can you kind of tell us about when you first got started and your time in OVW and kind of your experiences and things that you learned along the way?
Oh, I love my time in OVW. I consider those my college years. I didn't get the college experience, but definitely being at OVW, essentially being in the developmental school for 4 years, it resembles going to college. I was on my own. I got my first apartment out there. How old was I when I moved out there? I believe I was 19. when I moved out there. And Shad gave me his driver's license because I was old enough to hit the clubs up. He gave me the driver's license so I could hit the clubs. And I had a ball. I learned so much in OVW. I learned to do's and what not to do. I learned about locker room etiquette. What else? And just, I didn't learn everything about heat, but I got some general ideas. And that's one of the major topics I talk about in my first book.
So my first question, and I'm going to have another one, is what's really hood?
Oh man, you guys' podcast is what's really hood right now.
And then, how was it wrestling in Brooklyn? Because I saw your match with David Otunga and at TLC. How was that experience for you?
I was caught off guard with it. At first I wasn't even going to be at the pay-per-view, and I try not to get let the business affect me personally because everything's business. But this is the first pay-per-view at the Barclays Center. You would think that they're the only person who was from Brooklyn. Well, they had Brawler, but they'll figure that they would have me there. And then I get the call. The pay-per-view was Sunday. I think I got the call Saturday that they needed me for the pay-per-view, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I get there, and I still wasn't on the card. It was just, I guess they just wanted me there. And then as they put later on during the day, they're like, yeah, you're working David Otunga in the first dark match. I was like, all right, cool. So that was a great experience. Some things you have on your to-do list as a professional wrestler. Wrestler MSG, become champion. For me, I would have never knew this in a million years that I was the first match at the Barclays Center, the first wrestling match, me and David Otunga.
It's awesome.
Now, can you kind of tell us how did Cryme Tyme get put together, and how did you guys come up with your gimmick, or was it something that was given to you?
No, it came about naturally. We didn't really sit down and say we were going to do this. It just came organically with Shad and I. We were down in OVW. Paul Heyman put Shad and I together after Shad just finished a storyline with CM Punk, and I was there, and they decided to put us together as a tag team, and we became the Southern Tag Team Champions in 2 weeks. Everything came so fast, and then after a couple of weeks went by, we were heels, but we were getting a babyface reaction. Al Snow said Al Snow was the head trainer at the time, and also helping with TV. He said, "You guys are getting over, but you guys don't need to have a match every week to get over. You guys can do something outside the ring, do some vignettes, have some fun." And we're like, okay, and we got a camera, and we started to do some vignettes outside the wrestling ring, in the smoothies, and in the smoothie shop, and in the park, and those same vignettes that you saw in with WWE before our debut, we shot those by ourselves. And then that's how Vince McMahon saw us. He saw the vignettes. He never saw me wrestle before. He never saw me grab a headlock or do a drop kick or do a dive. He just saw how charismatic that Shad and I were on TV. We had a great on-screen personality.
So, you and Shad are really cool with each other and best friends. So, was he hurt or offended because you told a lot of Shad stories in your books?
Well, I told a lot of stories that involved Shad. That told it from my perspective, but yeah. No, I kind of told him I was writing a book, and that he was a big part of my career. So there's going to be some stories there about him. He just said, make sure it's juicy and good. All right.
I think one of the funniest ones to me was the story about his suit. Can you just talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, the suit story with Triple H. Yeah, that definitely caught me off guard. My jaw dropped. Hunter gave Shad a compliment, and I think Shad was lost for words. He didn't know how to react, and he said something that I didn't think he had a filter that day. It just was from brain to mouth, no filter, and it was kind of it was kind of a comment that that made Triple H like, what the fuck did you do? Why? What? but he's like, okay, and just walked off. And it just made me look at him like, why would you say that? You know, for those who want to know what Shad said, you got to get the book.
Absolutely. Now, as far as Cryme Tyme goes, and you know your character, how much of that was actually you?
Oh, like with the character JTG, that you see on SmackDown and Raw.
Yeah.
That was me with the volume turned all the way up. You know, like in real life, I'm a cool, laid-back dude. But you put a camera in front of me and give me a mic, you know, I'm gonna turn up and my personality's gonna go through the roof. And that's a lot with a lot of the talent, a lot of the characters that you see on TV. There's a side of them, but the volume's turned all the way up.
Nice. And I'll ask another question. So, who's the better thief, Cryme Tyme or Los Guerreros?
Oh wow! Well, we learned from the best. We took a lot of our stuff from them. I'm gonna have to give it to the Los Guerreros, man.
Nice.
They stole a lot of matches, man. I mean, they made it cool to steal.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I've always liked your gear, like either with the rolled up, pants and the bullet holes. How did the gear come up, and why'd you change it later on?
I changed it because, the gear came about because I picked wrestlers from not wrestlers. I picked people that entertainers from the hip hop industry that I liked a lot. For example, I was a big fan of LL Cool J, so I rolled the pant leg up. The bulletproof vest was from 50 Cent. The chains and so that was all from my favorite rappers like Nelly. I almost put the Band-Aid on under my eye, but I think I was going overboard, so I didn't do that. But when I was with the singles route, I decided to change the trunk. So first it was leather pants and then trunks because I wanted to get away from the Cryme Tyme image.
And when you guys broke up, were you kind of nervous about going on your own singles run?
No, I wasn't nervous at all. I was actually excited about doing it. But the creative team didn't know was still up in the air about what to do with my character. They didn't know what direction, so that kind of worried me a little bit. But I definitely had the confidence that I had the talent, the charisma, the look to do a singles career. Now,
I want to talk to you about this here. How was it like being fired the first time from WWE? Because you guys were major stars. You guys were with Cade and Jinjak around that time, and you guys essentially got fired out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was definitely out of nowhere. I think we were definitely slated to win those tag team titles the week before we got released. I think that was the reason why there was a lot of jealousy, and we got some heat put on us that turned into a release. But it definitely caught me off guard, and I didn't think they would release us. I thought we was going to get a big fine, but it was definitely heartbreaking because you work so hard to get to WWE. And then, jealousy, hate, envy, and all that stuff, it becomes overwhelming.
Now, can you kind of tell us, were there any differences in being in WWE when you guys came back?
Was there big? No, we was only released for 6 months, so there wasn't really a big difference in the locker room. I guess we were more over. I could say that we were more over because the fans didn't expect to see us back that quick.
Now, as a member of Cryme Tyme, you've got to work with guys like Rated RKO and DX. Were those kind of dream scenarios for you, and did you think you would go on to bigger and better things?
Oh, absolutely. Working with Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, being on Shawn Michaels' Dream Team at Survivor Series, working with John Cena. Those were all, I would never imagine that in a million years, and it unfolded. So yeah, I definitely say I lived my dream.
So did you feel that you were kind of robbed that, the only title match that you guys ever really had a chance to win was for non-titles?
Dude, I think we only had 2 title matches. Am I right or wrong? I can't remember. Yeah. My WWE career is a blur right now. I don't remember getting a title shot. I remember getting a title shot at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And we against Jericho, and
then Cade and Murdoch.
I can't even think about anything else after that. Before or after that, You guys probably know better than me. Did I get a title shot before that?
Caden Murdoch.
Yeah, I think Caden Murdoch, yeah.
Caden Murdoch?
Yeah.
Was it a pay-per-view or was that Raw?
I think that was a pay-per-view.
I'm not sure which one, bro.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you guys were one of my favorite tag teams during that time, like in the mid-2000s, but you never really got a real opportunity.
Yeah. I'm gonna just chalk it up to heat. I don't take it personal.
So I wanted to talk to you about NXT because you see how big that's been growing, and you kind of were the genesis of that, and you've had so many great matches on NXT with guys like EC3 now, Tyson Kidd. Can you talk about a little bit of that experience? And
my experience there, I had a lot of fun working with NXT because I was able to get more mic time and more ring time. You know, with Raw, everybody's on. They try to cram so many superstars on the show, and sometimes your time is cut, and sometimes they just cut you off entirely. But with NXT, I know I had the freedom to be to have more fun, and I asked for the mic more. With NXT, they gave me my own talk show. I was able to be JTG, remind fans why I was over the first time, and I got more screen time, more vignettes, more backstage segments. So I definitely enjoyed being on NXT.
Going back to that, and how you talk about all the heat and jealousy backstage, do you find that it's more enjoyable being on the indies like you are now, opposed to being on WWE long term?
Well, it has its pros and cons. Like, I definitely enjoy being on the indies because of the freedom, and there's no contract. Contracts, they tie you down. You're limited to what you could do. Like, being in Los Angeles, there's so many opportunities that come my way. I knew if I was under a contract, I couldn't do it at all. Even if I was sitting home and not on TV, I still had to ask for permission, and if I would just say no just for the sake of it, just because. But with being with WWE, you're guaranteed a certain amount, and there's more security.
And as far as being on the indies, you wrestled at one of the big companies here in Jersey. Can you kind of tell us about the experience you had there?
Oh, I enjoyed working for Pat Buck's organization. I enjoyed it. They have a great turnout every time I go there. I'm looking forward to hearing back from Pat to come back down to Jersey. But yeah, I enjoyed working for Jersey All Pro.
yeah, you also worked for WrestlePro, and you got to team up with TNA's KM.
WrestlePro, sorry. Yeah.
You got to team up with KM, Kevin Matthews. So let's talk about you've also got to wrestle a guy, Kurt Hawkins. How was wrestling him?
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I mean, nothing that really stood out, but it's cool.
That's good because he's one of the he was one of the premier people at WrestlePro, and people just seem to love him.
So when you got heat for touching the championship belt, I want to know who was the champ.
Who was the champ? The champion at the time was Edge.
Edge. Oh, well, I thought it was Randy Orton.
No, it was Edge. Yeah, he was the champion at the time, but he did it in a joking manner. It wasn't like he wasn't serious about it. But at the same time, a joke in the locker room, he get carried away and get ran with for yards, miles.
Can you kind of tell us? Can you tell us what goes into when you're with a tag team partner for so long, and then you guys know you're gonna split and start feuding? Like what goes into that? Like how do you guys work on how the breakup's gonna happen and what's gonna happen when you guys start feuding and stuff like that?
It's usually creative that usually comes with you. Like the first time we talked about splitting us, it was an idea. It was like, hey, you think about splitting you guys up, the tag team division. We want to see how you guys do singles. What do you guys think about that? We're like, yeah, that's cool. We've been tag teaming for what, 4 or 5 years now. I think it's time to go our separate ways. We was cool about it. So to us, it's work. We're still gonna be boys at the end of the day. We're still gonna travel with each other. It's just on screen that we have a beef.
So yeah, and you also had a thing where you got to team up with Darren Young versus the Usos. How was that? Because now that you see the Usos, they're blowing up. Darren Young got a nice little push prior to this.
Working with Darren Young was cool. He's very, very quiet, very to himself. The Usos, I enjoyed working with them. They're very creative with how they come up with their spots. They think outside the box. They were big fans of Cryme Tyme. They told me that. They were like, man, we love to work you and Shad, man. They need to bring y'all back. And I would love to, I would love to work those guys. I wouldn't mind putting them over. Those guys are the next generation. And they're doing pretty good for themselves. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, it seems kind of like they have a little bit of your gimmick in them right now.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I'm flattered. I don't like some people think that I'll be bitter or mad about it. Like, oh, they're taking on shit. Like, nah, man. They're there now. Hope they're having fun. They're enjoying it. Our time. If Cryme Tyme ever do come back, we always switch it up, and we're gonna be fresh.
So, what about working with Ms. Morrison? Because you guys were so popular. They had the dirt sheet. You had Word Up. And you guys were feuding with each other. So how was that come about? And how was that for you?
Working with Ms. Morrison?
Yeah, and during that whole time.
Oh, man, that was fun because we were bouncing ideas off each other back and forth. It just started, I think I would give the credit to Brawler because we both had internet shows, and Brawler would mess with us. He'd be like, hey, Ms. Morrison show, they got higher ratings than you, and then we'll try to outdo them the next week with Word Up. And it was the ratings beef, and then we started taking shots at each other. And Brawler was instigating the shit the whole time. And then it just spilled to the ring, and we had the great storyline and great. We just had fun with each other. And we had great matches and great storylines. That was probably one of my favorite feuds. In my career with WWE, first will be Jericho, and then the top right underneath that will be working with Ms. Morrison.
This past year, the split happened, and there were rumors happening all around saying that you guys would come back. Was there any truth to that? Maybe.
No, not that I know of. I heard. I have some people in the office. I heard our names were bounced around, but I don't know if there was any truth behind that.
Because I feel like they picked the wrong choice with the Spirit Squad. I think it would have been a lot bigger if you guys would have came back.
Now, can you I have to ask. Now, do you think that there was any type of stereotypes to the characters you guys played? I'm pretty sure you've heard it before, like because everyone always assumes like, oh, that's a stereotypical thing, for an African American wrestler. He's being, a hip hop guy. He's stealing stuff.
Yeah.
How did you, kind of feel about that?
I didn't feel anywhere about it because this is the wrestling world. In the wrestling world, they take what's mainstream and they exaggerate it.
Yeah.
That's everything. That's culture. That's race. That's background. Anything. If you're playing a sumo character. Yokozuna wasn't even Japanese. If you're playing a sumo character, you're gonna have you eating a bowl of rice. You're gonna do the bond. They call your finisher the bonds. I mean, they go all. They have to exaggerate it because everything on TV has to be blown out of proportion to tell the story. So with our characters, and I represented hip hop. And that was me. I did wear Timberlands. I did wear fitted hats. I wouldn't wear a grill, but I had to exaggerate. That culture on television to get the character across.
Do you feel like that character hurt your guys' push?
No, I think he hurt our push, which I talked a lot about in my first book.
We just mentioned Kenny from Spirit Squad. And you wrote about a story with Kenny and Randy Orton, I should say. But can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, that was a rib that was pulled on me, by Armando. Well, it was not. I wouldn't say Armando. It was more Kenny, and then Armando capitalized on it. Randy was shooting a deuce in the bathroom, and I thought he was somebody else, and I threw I lit a matchbook on fire and threw it by his feet. And,
oh my God.
And then when I heard the person yell, I'm like, oh shit, that's not who I thought it was. And he was like, yo, what the fuck? And then I had to tell him rib, and he kind of laughed it off. I thought you was somebody else, man. I apologize. He was like, that's like the last person you want to mess with in the locker room, like Randy Orton.
You know what? Like, talking about like lighting things on fire, right? The fire alarm went off. Everyone had to leave. This was a different story, but was it actually you? I think, like, were you smoking something instead, or were you in the shower? That's just what I want to know.
No, I wasn't smoking.
No, I don't know. I was like,
that's like $1,000 fine if you get popped for that.
I don't know. 4 in the morning, man. I don't know.
No, I was definitely taking a hot shower, and the steam got crazy. That happened. When I told that story, a lot of people tweeted and said that happened to me before too. I thought it was just a experience that something like that would happen to me. But no, a lot of people told me they shared the same experience.
Okay.
That's funny.
I just want to remind everybody, you can get this book for like pocket change with all these stories in it. Just as a heads up. But
yeah. So down in WWE, you got a chance to wrestle William Regal, who's world renowned. How was wrestling him?
Wrestling him was definitely it was a challenge, and I don't say that in a negative way, in a positive way, because William Regal, he doesn't like to call anything in the back. He's very old school. So, and then not only that he's old school. He tells you, I'm not taking this bump and I'm not taking that bump. And it's like, oh shoot, so what am I going to do? So you're limited to what you can do. So you got to be creative. So you're calling stuff in the ring, and you're limited to what you can do. So it's like you got to think on your feet and be very well experienced. And if you pull up a good match with William Regal, it's like you're good. You belong here in the WWE.
So now, like, you kind of have that status. Now that you're on the indie scene, do you ever say that to other guys? Like, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to take that bump?
It depends. Like, with the indie scene, I don't do any crazy... I personally don't do any crazy bumps or dives or stuff like that. I was taught on telling a story and not really into the big bumps and spots. I don't do like the weapon stuff. I don't do any of that. If somebody wants me to take catch them in a dive, I'll do it. If they want to do a whole bunch of stuff, I'll be there to catch them and make sure to protect them, let them get all their shit in. But I'm not doing that.
When you came to the WrestlePro show, you came flying in the ring. You were so fast paced and everything. So even without doing high spots, like you said, it was still like extremely fast paced and entertaining.
Oh wow! I didn't think I was going fast paced, but. You say so, yeah.
I thought so.
So,
thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah. So, as far as indies, besides recently WrestlePro here in Jersey, where else have you been wrestling at independently?
I can't remember all the promotions by heart. There's been a few. I've been down to FEW. I'm sorry, down in Miami, Florida. Yeah. That's a good promotion. They always have a good turnout. Worked in Boston, some shows in New York, got a few shows coming up in the UK, going down to Dominican Republic. I got a lot of shows coming up, a lot of people that I worked with before in the past in Canada. I can't remember the name of the promotion, but it was in Montreal. I've been around.
Yeah, if you go to Dominican Republic, you might not come back.
Yeah, man, that's what I told the promoter. The show was I believe it was on a Saturday, so I told him to let me come out there early. You can come out there Wednesday to help market the show. I got to promote the show. And then if the show's Saturday, I want to fly out Monday.
That's good.
So you also got to work with Slam Master Jay and Eve Torres. How was your relationship with those guys?
With Eve Torres, and it was cool. I enjoyed working with Eve. She was easy to work with, and she was fun. She was, open-minded to, ideas. Sometimes working with divas could be difficult because I'm not doing this, and I don't want to say that, but working with Eve was totally fun. And
then also, we got to talk about the JBL is poop.
Oh, yeah.
How did that come about, and did you have fun, destroying that limo?
Oh, I had a ball, man. If I could pay, I'll do it again. Man, yeah, I enjoyed smashing that level. Again, I was caught off guard too. I just walked from Chad and I walked into the building that day in New Orleans, and one of the prop guys was like, "Oh, you guys are gonna have so much fun today. I wish I was in your guys' shoes." I was like, "What's going on?" And he was like, and then we went over to the section. He was like, "You guys get these bats. Here are your gloves. You guys will be destroying a limo today." I'm like, "Cool." He's like, "That's not even the cool part. That's the best part. You be doing a segment with John Cena." I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool."
Now, can you, when you were younger, can you kind of tell us like how did you get into the business?
Like as a fan, like what do you mean? Like how did I start liking wrestling, or how did I eventually get into?
Yeah, how did you like decide? You were going to be a wrestler. Like how did you train? Who trained you?
So both my parents are wrestling fans. They went to Madison Square Garden every month religiously. And my mom just loved wrestling. And then, I at the age of 2, I knew I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I was jumping off my mom's couch on my sister's Cabbage Patch doll, doing Macho Man elbows, pointing to the sky, pointing to the roof. And at the age of 2, I knew I wanted to be a wrestler. And then, it was kind of like when I started getting older, when I was like in middle school and high school, it was kind of embarrassing. It was kind of embarrassing to say that you're a wrestling fan. It wasn't cool yet to be a wrestling fan. So I didn't really tell people that I wanted to be a wrestler. It wasn't even cool to be a wrestling fan. So how could I tell people that I wanted to be a professional wrestler? So I said I wanted to pursue acting. But I knew that I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And around senior year in high school, it came down to crunch time. It was like, what college are you going to? Are you going to the Army, Navy? A lot of my family members went to the Army and Navy. And they were like, "What are you doing? Are you going to college? What are you doing?" And I was like, "You know what? I want to be a professional wrestler." And, I got a lot of side eyes, like, "This dude's here, not serious." And then, I told my mom, and her being a wrestling fan, she supported me.
So, when you were in OVW, was Jim Cornette doing any of the booking at all while you were there?
Yeah, my first, 2-3 years, Cornette was there. He was definitely heavily involved with with putting the shows together. And then, everybody knows about that incident that he had with Santino. Yeah. And he wasn't no longer there no more, and Paul Heyman came in.
How would you compare the two of their booking styles?
How to compare it? Jim Cornette was more old school. And I would say that Paul Heyman was more like an evil genius. You wouldn't know what way he was going with his storylines, and then he'll have like this twist. It was like 1 minute you thought somebody was gonna do one thing, and then it turned out to be totally something else. Like he swerving the mark. That was Paul Heyman's look on it.
Nice. Not too much like Vince Russo.
Yeah.
I loved your theme song. Did you like that? Because whenever I go to a show and they play that in the background or something like before the show, I'm always like, "This is it. I love this song."
Oh, you thought the Cryme Tyme theme song?
Yeah, the Cryme Tyme theme. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if I've ever met the guy. Or I remember the first time I heard it, I was at a live event with Shad, and it was like, if you got new music tonight. I was like, "Really?" He was like, "All right, let's hear it." We went out, and then the music played, and we looked at each other like, "You liked it?" I was like, "Yeah, it's cool." He was like, "All right, we got no choice anyway." And we went out.
It's like one of those iconic songs. Like you just hear it, and you're like, "Damn, that's like you just hear it, and you're like, that's JTG and Chad." And, there's just like some songs that you just relate to like that, like Stone Cold and the Glass Breaking. So.
Yeah.
And my favorite part is like the Brooklyn.
Yeah, people still always do that. Brooklyn.
Now, do you see yourself possibly going back to WWE in the future?
Maybe. There's some things that I have on my to-do list that I want to pursue before I pursue trying to go back. Or if they call me tomorrow and the money's right, I'm not going to turn down some good money. Yeah. But for me to pursue them and bang on their door, there's some things I want to get off my to-do list that I want to do first.
Nice. And is there anybody who's on the independent scene that you haven't wrestled that you actually do want to wrestle?
Oh yeah, there's a few guys I would love to wrestle. Brian Cage, he's doing great things out there on the independent scene. Who else? The villain, what's his name again with the umbrella?
Marty Scurll.
Yeah, Marty Scurll.
Marty Scurll, yeah, I would love to work him. Those I could take off right off the bat. But yeah, I would love to work those two.
Did you want another match with Cody?
Cody Rhodes?
Yeah.
Yeah, why the hell not?
Like, you got some payback to give him because he took it to you. So one of my one of my favorite things about you is that you had awesome backstage moments from like SummerSlam when interacting with Vince, and then or the one like where you're interacting with King Booker. Can you talk about like those kind of scenarios, like those segments, how much they meant to you?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. The SummerSlam incident, I believe that was in Nassau, right? Was it Nassau?
Izod.
Izod, yeah. That was off the. Like Shad and I came up with that. And the boss loved it, and he said that he wanted everybody to dance around, and it became a hit. Everybody loved it, especially William Regal's reaction. William Regal pulled that off great. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I put the hat on him, and his facial reaction was just like priceless, and I think that so many hits on YouTube. That video, that segment.
I was there that night, and the best part was like when Ron Simmons goes, "Damn!" That was awesome.
It seems like between the segments you had and like you had that conversation with Vince, that you and Vince had like a good rapport. Can you just go into your relationship with Vince a little bit?
I think me personally, this is my opinion. I think Vince was a fan of JTG. I think he loved my charisma. He was a big fan of the Cryme Tyme gimmick, and I think he really did want to see me succeed. Because I remember he pulled me to the side and give me advice sometimes. I think it was just again the politics behind the scenes. I could have gone a lot more further. And I didn't want to play the game. I was very naive. I thought my talent and charisma would get me over and would get me to the top. And unfortunately, I was very, very wrong. And I talk about that a lot in my second book, and it's subtitled "How to Play the Game." So
when you get like the call saying you're going to wrestle a guy like Ryback or the Hart Dynasty, on SmackDown, was that just like every day for you, or did you feel like this is something like huge behind it?
Oh, every time you get in front of the camera is always an opportunity. So every time I got, if it was, I was doing business for, what was the damn Funky Doctor? What was his name again? The Funkasaurus.
Brodus Clay?
Brodus Clay. Yeah, if I was doing business for Brodus Clay and it was a 5-minute match, I used that opportunity to get myself over as well. If it's with facials or expressions, I make sure that I did something so the fans can remember me by. Just because you're losing doesn't mean that you have to lose all across the board.
So the book is available online. Do you have anywhere else you can pick that book up?
Oh yeah, you can pick the book up on Amazon. You can pick the book up on Google Play. You can pick the book up on iTunes. The audiobook is available. Everyone loves the audiobook because it's narrated by me, yours truly, and it's 10 times funnier hearing it come from me. And you can get that also on Amazon Kindle. The link to the book is also in my social media platforms. Instagram is JTG 121084, and on Twitter it's JTG 1284.
For us, we're Wrestling IQ 101. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we really like to say thank you, JTG, for taking the time out and talking with us, sharing some great stories from your book.
And thank you for having me, man. I appreciate the time you guys took out to have me on here.
No, thank you.
And make sure everyone go out and buy the book. It's called
Damn, Why Did I Write This Book? And Damn, Why Did I Write This Book Too?
You have just listened to the Wrestling IQ 101 podcast, powered by B Plus Player Radio.
One more for the good guy.